So we are here with Ben from JACO Contracting. He's going to go through quite a bit of pretty awesome stuff with us. So guys, if you have any questions, put them online. I'm going to be watching it, and we're hoping to be able to get him back in another month or so at the creek so you guys can meet him in person. But anyway, I'll turn it over.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben Wages with JACO Contracting. We're a local company here in Covington. We specialize in roofing and gutters, but we do hold a general contracting license, so we're able to do anything from paint, siding, fascia repair, soffit repair, pretty much anything that a general contractor can do. So we are licensed, we are insured. I actually have some goodie bags for everybody to take with you when you leave, and some booklets that are included with that too, that have all of our insurance stuff, our W-9s, some references to some bigger jobs we've done. I actually use this stuff for a lot of multifamily things that I do like this. So there's some bigger jobs in there, but we do a lot of residential. So I just want to be somebody that you can call on to help your customers with any of their roofing or gutter needs. If you're trying to sell a house and there's roof damage, if it's something we can fix or we can take a look at, we can do that. If you're trying to buy a house, the same thing, vice versa. So we do provide free roof inspections, free gutter inspections. It's something you can just call me or email me, send me a property address, and I'll go out to it. It's free to charge. I don't charge you, I don't charge the homeowner. It's just kind of a cool deal. I've done a lot of stuff with Mathia. I used to do a lot of stuff with Christy. So Kelly, I've looked at her house. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do anything with it, but we tried. So
hey, it's good roofing.
That's right.
I can tell folks that.
That's right. So I'll just run through this quick slideshow. I don't want to bore everybody to death. JACO Contracting, let's help you with our roofing or your roofing and gutters. This is our team. There's some guys that are still there. There's some guys that aren't still there. There's a couple new guys that aren't in the picture, but this is just the guys that you'll see around town that represent our company and who we stand for. We're a licensed general contractor in the state of Georgia. We've been in business for 10 years. That's 5 times longer than the Georgia average. So 2 years is about the extent of roofing companies being open and closing the doors in Georgia. There's a lot of reasons for that. You don't have to have a GC license to be a roofer in Georgia, which I think is not okay. Like other states surrounding us, you have to obtain a GC license to be able to do roofing and gutter work there. You don't have to have that here, so you got to watch out for who you're hired as a contractor. You're not required to have insurance to own a roofing company in Georgia, which is also another big crazy thing you need to make sure you're looking into. And you're actually not even required to have a business license to own a roofing company in Georgia. Yeah, it's crazy. So you can have a hailstorm overnight, slap a sticker on your truck, get a t-shirt, a card that says your name on it, says you're a roofer and you're a Georgia roofer. So it's just very important to do your research about who you're hiring or who you're sending your clients to look at their roofing or gutter work. We're fully insured. We've got a $7 million cap on our insurance, so there's pretty much nothing we can't accidentally mess up and be insured. We're a preferred vendor through most insurance companies in Georgia. We do a lot of work with State Farm. We do a lot of work with Allstate, which everybody hates working with. We do a lot of work with American Family, which a lot of people hate working with too. So none of these insurance companies really scared us, and we're a very localized and known name with most of the carriers, especially in this area.
USAA?
USAA, yeah.
Farmers?
Farmers, actually I love farmers.
Okay, good.
Farmers is my favorite. Yeah, yeah, so we know all of the local adjusters that work for farmers. We don't even have to meet them in houses. They just let them sit there. We send them pictures.
And I can tell you, they dealt with mine with American Family, and I didn't have to do anything. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we kind of try to take the pressure off you and the homeowner too. It's just a lot to deal with that, especially when you're trying to buy or sell a home. So the more we can do, the better. We don't really have a timeline as far as start to finish on stuff, but typically, if I push stuff through, I can have it done start to finish with filing a claim, getting paperwork back, and having a refund in 2 weeks. So it's a pretty fast process if I can get in front of the process and really get in front of somebody who will listen to what I'm saying. We're a member of the Atlanta Apartment Association, which, like I said, I do this for other vendors too. So it's just an association where we're preferred vendor that work through a lot of apartment complexes in Georgia. We're a member of the SLA, which is the Southern Loss Association. So this is an association that all insurance companies are a part of across the state of Georgia. And I go to a pretty good amount of lunches and dinners with these people throughout the month. So it's kind of my job to get to know these guys, and that way when an insurance adjuster shows up on site, then I'm not a stranger to who they are. Typically, I know these people when they show up. Sometimes there's cases where I won't, but most of the time I know these guys. We're an active member of the Newton County Chamber of Commerce as well, so we're pretty involved with them. We have been a little less involved in the past couple of years. We had a guy that was doing all the stuff with the chamber before me. I'm just now kind of picking where he left off, about 2 years ago, so we're getting more involved with them. So we're well known around the community. We are a platinum preferred contractor through Owens Corning. What this means for your customers is that we're able to offer warranties that other roofing companies cannot offer. So we're able to offer a 50-year non-prorated warranty. So it does not prorate after the 2 years like every other warranty prorates. It actually holds a non-prorated status for 40 years, and then it prorates like 20% a year for 5 years, and 10. It's just it dwindles down to the 50-year mark. So it's really a 40-year non-prorated warranty. It covers manufacturer's defects, and it also covers workmanship. That's the huge thing. Companies are offering 2-year warranties. 2 years is a good warranty, and typically things with roofing is going to show up before the 2-year mark anyway. So if you have issues, it will show up. But after that 2 years, you're kind of SOL on getting anything fixed as far as a workmanship warranty. So what happens is after our 2-year initial warranty for the next 23 years, I think it's a 25-year workmanship warranty, they cover for the next 23 years after our initial 2-year warranty runs out. So that's a warranty that's covered by Owens Corning. If we were to go out of business, hopefully that never happens. It picks up, Owens Corning picks the warranty up, so your customers are covered for 25 years, and then the product is covered for another 20 years after that.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. So, free roof inspections for all real estate agents. So that's a huge thing. We want you to be able to call us and say, hey, I got a property, whether it needs to be looked at today or a week from now. We try to really get on top of the calls from real estate agents. The slope roof systems, you have asphalt shingles, you have metal roofs, you have wood shake shingles, you have tile, and you have slate. Basically, just kind of show you that this is how they're installed. They're installed over plywood decking. Water and debris run into a gutter system. They're laid using nails or screws. They are prone to storm damage, which is a lot of the damage you guys see when you're trying to show a home or you get an inspection report back that report all the damages. They are difficult to walk on, so not just anybody can inspect them, so you obviously want to hire somebody that's qualified to do that. The lifespan is between 15 to 100 years. A lot of those wood shake and tile roofs, they're like 100-year rated roofs. So
Really?
they're a lot more expensive, but the slate and the tile and all that, you can get away with like a 100-year roof. Yeah. Now, that's if you're in the perfect spot. You're not having a lot of wind. You don't have any hail.
No hurricanes.
No hurricanes. I mean, but
We had those concrete barrel roofs, the tile, at Tuscany condos that I managed forever, and they're like 50-year roofs.
Yeah, they're crazy, and they're impact resistant, so hail doesn't really hurt them. I mean, you got to have really big, like Texas style hail to hurt those roofs. So we do work on shake, tile, and slate though. We do sub that work out, so I'm not going to tell you that we do it in house. We do have a guy that does that. He's a subcontractor for us, so. But that's possible for us to work on in case you do have houses that you have come across with that type of roofing on. This is a roofing system. I know it's kind of hard to see. It's basically just from the attic up. So you've got your attic insulation here in the bottom. You've got your rafters where your house is framed here. And then you lay the plywood on top of the rafters. So on top of the rafters, all the way around the perimeter of the house, when we put a roofing system on, we put what's called a starter shingle. So starter shingles go on first. They go all the way around the perimeter of your house. And then we put a synthetic type felt down. Most contractors use an asphalt style felt. It's cheaper, it's more cost effective, and the profit margins are more profitable for roofing companies. We do not use it. It is more expensive for us to buy, but my roofers don't like walking on asphalt felt. They prefer the synthetic. It's safer for them to walk on. Also, if I'm going to warranty a roof for 20 years, I don't want to have to come back in 20 years. So we use the better material. That is the reason that we are preferred through Owens Corning. We had to go through about a 2-year trial run with them to get on that preferred list, and that included being able to use all of their products on every roof that we have put on for the past, I would say probably 6 to 7 years. We've been using all of their products. So it's very important to them. It's very important to us. We put ice and water shields, which you can't see that here. Ice and water shield in all your valleys. So where you have valleys and your plywood comes together, that's a big problem spot for leaks. So a lot of leaks you see on these houses are typically in your valleys or around your pipe boots. So we put this ice and water shield in all the valleys. It's a peel and stick membrane. It sticks straight to the plywood, and you have to pretty much tear the plywood out to get that stuff off. So it's a puncture-proof sealant. If something were to puncture it, it actually seals around whatever punctures it, like fix-a-flat in a tire. It's the same concept. And then we put our field shingles down, which would be the shingle of choice, whatever your customer picks. Our ventilation, and then the ridge shingles and all that up top. So it's a complete system. It's not just us tearing shingles off and putting shingles back on. We tear everything down to the bare plywood decking. If there's any decking that needs to be replaced, we replace the decking, and then put the shingles back like they're supposed to be. So it's a full system. These are some of the common things that you guys are seeing in your inspection reports. So nail pops is probably the main thing that you guys see. When you have an inspector, 90% of the time, none of them are getting on the roofs. All they're doing is taking pictures from the ground, and you can see all these little humps in the roof, and they say you need to have that looked at. It's typically a nail pop. So with the air pressure in Georgia and the difference in being hot and cold inside and outside, or vice versa, the attic creates pressure and it pushes the nails out of the roof. So when it does that, it applies pressure to the bottom side of these shingles, and it's called a nail pop. So what that does is it puts a gap between the shingle that is on top and on bottom, and if you have wind-driven rain, the rain can get underneath that shingle and go into the nail hole, which will cause leaks over time.
Is there anything a homeowner can do to prevent that in the attic?
No.
There's not. No, there is not, unless you encapsulate the attic, which is very expensive to do. I don't recommend against it. I mean, it's a very good way to insulate your house.
You don't want to encapsulate it anyway. Don't you need airflow through there?
But they say, now this is where I differ from a contractor that does insulation. I think that shingles need ventilation to prolong the lifespan. If you don't have a ventilation system on a shingle, you're looking at like 10 to 15 years, and you're going to have a lot of granules, which is the next thing on the slide. When shingles get hot like that, it bakes the shingle from the inside out, and it actually loosens up the granules on the roof, which is what protects you from water damage inside your house, and they start to fall off. So it's kind of a homeowner call on whether or not you want to encapsulate the roof or not. I don't, like I said, I can kind of see both sides. You want to save on your air and heat bill, encapsulate the roof. If you want to save on having to replace your ear in 10 to 12 years, then don't do it. But granule loss is another one of the big things you guys see on these inspection reports. It is just general wear and tear. It can be a manufacturer defect if it starts happening within 5 to 6 years after the shingle's put on. It could be that the roof is not ventilated correct because it wasn't installed the right way. It could be because the roof's 35 years old and it's just time to get a new roof. Just because the roof says it's a 50-year roof doesn't mean it's going to last 50 years. It just depends on where it's at, what the weather's doing, if there's wind, if there's hail, how hot it is, how good your insulation is on your attic floor. There's a lot of variables to go into this, but this is a lot of the stuff you see. Granule loss, we can replace shingles. If it's just a spot that are doing that, we can replace the shingles in that spot. But if it's over the whole roof, typically it's time to get a new roof. These are high-nailed shingles and fastener failures. So if you see here where these shingles are sliding, I'm sure you've seen this on a lot of houses before, and people try to say, oh, it's storm damage, or it's this or it's that, or it just wasn't installed right. There's a nail strip on the top of a shingle that the installers are supposed to hit with the nails, and it is a stronger point in the shingle made to nail through. When they miss those strips, over time, gravity will pull the shingles down, and it will tear through the asphalt in the shingle. So a high nailed shingle, or if they've got their compressors turned too high and they're over driving the nails, it's the same thing. Over time, gravity will pull those shingles down. So this is another thing that we see a lot that we're able to fix. Just send a crew out and have them fix the shingles, nail them where they're supposed to be, and get the high nail shingles fixed. And fastener failure here on a metal roof. Same thing with nail pops. Pressure in attics and pressure in the top side of a building where the heat rises, it will actually push the screws back out of a metal roof. So you typically start seeing this around the 10 to 12 year mark on metal roofing. If it was not installed correctly, even if it is installed right, you'll start seeing this around the 15-year mark. So these are just other examples of typical wear and tear that you'll see on roofs that you need to have taken care of. Pipe boot failures. this is a majority of the leaks that you see in the roofing industry. I can tell you 95% of the time, if I get a phone call from somebody that says they have a roof leak and it's near a bathroom, it is going to be a pipe leak. Everywhere you have a toilet, you have a down pipe for waste, and you have an up pipe for gas. When you flush the toilet, the gas goes up and it goes through the roof, and there's a small boot that goes around the pipe that goes through the roof. Now these boots are just made of rubber, so 6 to 7 years is when they say you need to start maintaining these, or they will fall through and it leaves a gaping hole. So it's just hole that rain gets through, and it just takes not long to get through the attic insulation in the floor, and then you start seeing it on the ceiling. So this is a huge thing that we see most of the time when we're looking at roof leaks. This is a perma boot. This is a quick fix for us to install on these leaking pipe boots. Depending on how many boots are on the house, we typically charge about $100 to install one of these. They're about $20 to buy. We'll send somebody out for $80 to put them on. It's a quick fix. If you've got a leak on a roof and you're trying to get it sold, you call us. We'll just come put these on. It can be done literally within hours of a phone call. So that's just another thing to be looking for too. Storm damage is another thing you're going to see a lot of on these inspection reports. The left and right pictures on this slide, that's hail damage. It's pretty apparent what that is, and that's pretty big hail. We don't get a whole lot of that in Georgia, but every once in a while we do get like 1.5 to 2 inch hail. And if it is hard enough, it will make shingles and metal look like that. And then you've got the blown off shingles in the middle. That's your typical wind damage. It takes a pretty big nasty storm to make a roof look like that. Most of the wind damage that we see literally is just a crease in the top side of the shingle. So what happens is when two shingles meet, there's an overlapping shingle, and wind gets in between the crease of the shingles underneath it and will actually push the top shingle up, and it will make it flat. It might do this for a day, it might do this for a week, it might do it for a month, but over time it peels the granules out of the top side of the shingle, and it literally will just leave a streak across the top side of the shingle. So this is kind of an example of the storm damage that we get paid for a lot in Georgia. So if you're trying to sell a house, you call me, I go do a free inspection for your customer. I find 50 wind damaged shingles. Now, rather than them having to pay to put a new roof on the house because the buyer obviously doesn't want a wind damaged house, I can actually work with their insurance company to get that roof paid for. They pay their deductible, $1,000 is usually what it is. They're out of pocket $1,000. They got a brand new roof on their house. Now they might be able to sell it for $10,000 more to the customer who wants a new roof on the house. There is a publication in a book that I have in my office, and I can't even remember what the title to it is, but you recuperate 100% of what you put into a roofing system within 2 years of an install. So if you spend $10,000 on a roof today, within 2 years you will get that $10,000 back if you're selling a house. So that's a huge thing to have your customers look at too. If they've got a 15, 20-year-old roof, whether it needs a new roof or not, call me, let me look at it. And let me just tell you, if I can get it a new roof and they pay $1,000, why would you not want to make that $9,000 extra? So it's kind of a win-win for your customer. It's a win for me too, because I can business. Rotten decking, this is also just another thing that we're going to see a lot of. When you've had a roof leak that's happened for quite a bit of time, it will actually soak into the wood, and it will rot the wood underneath the shingles. This is worse damage than shingles being damaged, because this is damage you cannot see, and this is damage that rots from the inside, and it continues to rot inside. If it rots too much, it'll start rotting your rafters. You start having rafter issues. Now you got structural issues, and that's not what you want. So you want to catch these leaks on the front side of a sale or on the front side of an inspection, not on the back side.
I was about to say, that bad, they've been ignoring the leak.
That's been ignored for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean but you'd be surprised. Like even when we tear off these roofs to do a replacement, roofs that I've been walking on for weeks at a time, we tear the shingles off and it'll look like this underneath it, and nothing's wrong on the top side.
You can really tell just by looking at it.
And there was no leak in the ceiling for them to. Really?
Some leaks show up really fast, and some leaks take years to show up. It just depends on how the water is tracking. Your leak might be over there and it tracks down a rafter and doesn't show up over here, or it tracks all the way down a rafter. And that's right. So it just.
And in this particular case, you can see it on the outside, but you couldn't have seen that from
on the inside.
If you were looking in the attic, you still wouldn't see that.
That's true, because it's gonna be covered with it.
That's
Right.
right. So
Cause
there's
it
just
hasn't
a,
made it all the way through.
Right, it's just in between there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hidden damage that we find a lot of the times when we're doing replacements, that you would be just surprised to see. We include 2 sheets of OSB on all of our replacements at no cost, and typically we use two full sheets, whether it be just little spots we're having to replace or full sheets, here and there. I mean, we use 2 full sheets on every single job. Repair versus replacement. This is where you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who is not taking advantage of you and your customer and the system. I have worked for a company that did that. That is the way that I was trained, and I left that company not long after I was trained that way, because that is not the way that I want to do business. So you do not want to send somebody out to a roof to look at something that says this roof needs to be replaced if it doesn't need to be replaced. It's insurance fraud, first of all, and it's just taking advantage of people. So you just really want to be safe about who you're hiring. You don't know me from a hole in the ground. I'm just a random guy coming in here, other than a couple of people that I've worked with. But this is a very big thing in the roofing industry, especially in Georgia, and this is why we are the most hated contractor overall, period, in the United States. We are literally the most disliked contractor is roofers, because we are considered to be dishonest, and there are a lot of dishonest contractors out there. There are contractors that will put damage on roofs for them to get business. There are contractors that will say things are there that they're not there to make money. We are not that contractor. We do not operate that way. There is plenty of work, real work out there for me to chase and for me to get phone calls on, than to not have to put damage on a 10-year-old roof that doesn't need it. So just really watch out for that. Just a repair versus replacement. JACO Contracting knows that it's important to give an expert opinion when called out to look at a roof. This means that we hold ourselves to a high standard when putting on our name and brand on a roofing report. Our reps will give the best opinion whether it is to repair or replace the roof, or if it needs nothing at all. So I'm just trying to let you know that if it doesn't need anything at all, I'm going to make money tomorrow. I don't need to make money right this second. So really would like to build a relationship with everybody that works in this office, and then an office up north, hopefully soon, to know that you can trust me and you can trust what I'm saying. And even if it's not me going to a job, if I send one of my guys, that you can trust what we're saying, because we're doing things the right way. So call us for any of your roofing needs or gutter needs, and hopefully we can take care of you. That's it.
I have a question.
Yep.
I see metal roofs here and there. Do they have a longer lifespan, or is it just an architectural
It depends.
preference?
It depends. Most people do them for the aesthetic look, just the difference in look. My personal opinion,
Yeah.
they're very high maintenance.
Okay.
Depending on what style metal you use. If you use like a standing rib, where it's exposed fasteners, where you've got the screws on the outside, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into that. And having to do a full screw replacement on a metal roof sometimes will cost as much as putting an asphalt roof on a roof in a hole.
I have a friend who's building a barn dominium, and they're doing a metal roof.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And she was asking me stuff, and I was like, I really don't know anything about metal roofs.
If she's gonna do a metal
asphalt
roof,
shingle.
she needs to look into a standing seam roof. It's gonna cost a lot more money.
Standing
but
what?
It's called standing seam.
Same. Okay.
Yep, standing
I'll
seam.
check
It's
with her and see if that's
it's
what
about
they're
3 times the cost of just a regular ribbed roof, but the fasteners are not exposed. So where you have a sheet and a rib, the fasteners go into the rib, and your next sheet covers that rib up. So all of your fasteners are covered up, and there's really no option for the roof to leak.
Okay.
It's just a better system. Like I said, it's more expensive on the front side, but over time you'll save the money on repairs and maintenance than you would, just paying for it.
Now, are we still seeing that there's some homes out there who still have the?
Atlas Chalet. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you start with explaining what
Yeah,
that is?
yeah.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, okay. Atlas is a roofing manufacturer. They are a very good roofing manufacturer. As a matter of fact, I used to sell Atlas shingles. I pushed Atlas shingles very, very hard. When I started working for JACO Contracting, I was still selling Atlas shingles, and they sell Owens Corning. I actually made it. They had to agree to let me sell Atlas before I could come work for them. If they didn't want me to sell Atlas, I said, I'm not coming to sell. for you guys unless I can sell out the shingles. So they are a good manufacturer. They had a bad apple. They made a shingle. It was a builder grade shingle. It's a 3-tab shingle that looks like an architectural shingle. It was a great idea all the way around. You as a consumer, if you bought it, you paid, I don't know, $70 less a square to put it on your house versus putting an actual architectural shingle on your house. And then builders as well. Builders were using these shingles, and it was a builder grade shingle that they could get for the same cost as a 3-tab shingle, and it looked like a designer shingle. So it was a great idea. Something they did making this shingle caused it to blister over time. So heat causes it to blister, wind causes it to blister, pressure from the attic causes it to blister, and it literally pushes the granules out of the shingle in like circle style damage. So it looks like hail damage from the ground, and it may not have hailed for 20 years. They did a recall on the shingle, went through a huge class action lawsuit, which never really went anywhere. They never got anything out of it. The only good thing for consumers and roofing companies that came out of it is that the what do you call it? The guy that does all the insurance, the insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia, because this is where it originated at. Basically says if you have one shingle that's damaged on your roof and you have an Atlas Chalet roof, that your insurance company is required to pay to replace the roof. I have to find one damaged shingle. It doesn't matter if it's a 10 square roof, it's a 110 square roof. If I can find one wind damaged shingle on that roof, I can have the insurance company pay for that roof 100%. Now they may come back and say no in the beginning. Allstate did sue them years back, and Allstate actually won. Allstate's no longer doing that. They are now replacing them. And American Family was the same way. American Family actually sued them and won, said they weren't going to replace it. That's no longer that way anymore. They are replacing them now. They say that if roofers in Georgia right now were to target only Atlas Chalet properties, that there's enough work to last 7 years, and there are over 2,800 roofing contractors in the state of Georgia. So that just tells you how many of these are.
Well, and I will just, and this is one of the reasons I met Ben with Mathia. There's several subdivisions here in Covington. Clark's Grove would be one that because everyone thought they were getting and you may want to tell people what are architectural shingles.
It's an architectural shingle, 3-tab shingle. All shingles are the same size. 3-tab shingle is just 3 tabs.
Mm-hmm.
It's what looks like you got the 3 flappy tabs.
Yeah.
It is one solid piece. An architectural shingle is 2 pieces. It's a laminate is what they call it. So they put a whole piece down, and then they put a laminate piece on top of that, which has dragon teeth cut out, which is where you get the architectural look. So all it is one full sheet and a sheet over the top of that. And what that does is it protects the roof against wind damage. It's really the only thing it protects against. So where you need like 60, 70 mile-an-hour winds to hurt a 3-tab shingle, you take like 130, 140, 150, 160 mile-an-hour wind to hurt an architectural shingle. So it is a better shingle. To me, it's a better look.
And that's the big thing. That's why the Atlas Chalet shingle was such a big deal, is because builders could make it look like they spent the money, but they didn't.
But they didn't.
I think y'all replaced like the townhomes across the street from me. You went in and did a lot of those, and I was like, "What about my house?" And y'all were like, "You don't have that."
Yeah, because there was a lot in there. Yeah, and fortunately and unfortunately, you don't have that type of shingle.
Right.
I've seen these shingles last 30 years. They're good shingles. It's just the couple of them that are bad apples. But if they're on a house now that you're trying to sell, the problem with that is when the buyer buys the house, the insurance company that they have is not going to insure the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So they gotta go in there.
So
They're gonna have to get a new roof if they buy it. It's not an
replaced.
option.
So we can just say, I don't know if we have Atlas shingles. Can you come just check it out?
Hey, you can. I'll come look at it. And
To
if
make
I can
sure
actually
we're
show you too.
When did they quit making them?
2006.
Okay, so if you have someone that has a roof that says we have a roof that's like 15 to 20 years old, you probably want to have it checked out.
Yeah, their chances are,
Yeah.
they're still there.
But it's also true that all of the inspectors in this area have been trained to look specifically for that shingle, and they will call it out every single
I
time.
look as a salesperson. I look for them driving down the road. I mean, they're very. Once you know what they look like, they're very, very easy to see. I look for town complexes where all the homes are like. I mean, I look for apartment complexes. I've replaced 7,000 squares in an apartment complex that was insurance bought it. They paid $10,000 deductible, and I got them $1.2 million worth of roofs. I mean, like they're just very noticeable. So.
And
Typically,
usually, if
an
you see
inspection
one or two in a neighborhood,
You're gonna see it.
they're all over it unless people have replaced them because it's more production builders that used them.
And I'll tell you too, which I hate, because I can understand as a consumer that roofers target these neighborhoods. So a lot of the times there will be a couple that are replaced and a bunch that aren't replaced, and nobody wants to get them replaced because they're sick and tired of having roofers knock on the door. And I can understand that. Like when I'm home after work, I don't want somebody knocking on my door. Or if I'm waking up in the morning drinking my coffee, like I don't want somebody knocking on my door. But unfortunately, there are a lot of these roofs still out there. And if you were trying to sell a house that has that on there, you might be able to sell it, but then the buyer is going to be screwed on the back end trying to insure a home. So it's just a full circle kind of thing. If you think it might be Atlas Chalet, or if you know it's Atlas Chalet, let's just at least try. The worst the insurance company can say is no, and sometimes they do still say no, and I have to fight back and forth. And the fights with the insurance companies sometimes can take a month or two, which I understand you have a due diligence period. So if you're trying to get through that period, then let's just see what happens. But there's no reason not to try.
But it's good to know that when you're looking at these inspections reports for your buyers, you need to make sure you're looking at that.
Oh, 100%. And like
even
Nadia
if you
said,
don't know what they look like.
Well, and I would say for a listing, I mean, if you go to a listing appointment and you think you question that
Yeah.
roof, you have the roof checked before you
Right.
list it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
That's
it's
fine.
way easier for him to get something through insurance
Right.
that's not listed.
Right.
So that's another,
they pull up in the yard too, and they see it for sale
Yeah,
sign.
for sale sign,
Oh,
they're like,
they're
oh,
out.
done. Yeah.
Or even if it's like a rental property, like they
Yeah.
don't like, the insurance companies,
Yeah.
they're insurance companies.
Yeah.
Well, they're there to make money,
They're
just
there to
like
make
everybody
money.
else.
They're-
Yeah.
And this is the crazy thing
They don't
too,
want to pay out unless
is,
they
is
Yeah.
insurance companies don't make money on homeowners insurance.
Mm.
They lose money on homeowners insurance. They lose hundreds, and this is, I'll speak just nationwide. They lose hundreds of millions of dollars in insurance claims a year, which is why your insurance rates are so high, and it's why they go up every year or every 2 years. And here's another thing too, I get asked a lot. If I file an insurance claim, is my insurance going to go up? Your insurance is not going to go up because you file a claim. Your insurance is going to go up regardless because your neighbor filed a claim and their neighbor filed a claim. If it's a comprehensive claim, if you drive your car through the front of your house, your insurance is going to go up.
That's
It's a
different.
comprehensive claim.
Yeah.
It's different. Now, you can't help that you have a house that got wind damage or got hail
Right.
damage. It's called an act of God, is what they call it.
Right.
So it's a non-comprehensive claim. It is actually called bad faith, which is a huge lawsuit for a homeowner. If your insurance company raises your rate due to filing an insurance claim on hail or storm damage or hail or wind damage, I mean it's like a huge lawsuit. So it's a big no-no. But they lose so much money on homeowners insurance, they make it all back up on car insurance.
Yep.
That's what they make every bit of their money. So they will offset rates if you do file a claim or you don't file a claim, whether you do or not. Then this is the way that I explain it to my customers. This is called Zone 1. There's 50,000 houses in Zone 1. If 1,500 people filed insurance claims in Zone 1, it doesn't matter if it was State Farm, Allstate, Amica, whatever insurance company. All of the insurance companies as a whole offset their rates to recuperate the money that they lost the year before. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you file a claim or not. If your neighbor filed a claim and got a new roof, chances are your insurance is going to go up, whether it be $10 a year or whatever it is. It's going to go up in the next year to 2 years because they're offsetting their amount they lost. They want to recuperate that money. It's insurance. It's a game.
Now,
It's a business.
we'll ask just because obviously we did roofing and gutters. Talk a little bit about the gutter service.
Gutter services. So
Yeah.
we do gutters. We clean gutters. We repair gutters. If it's 10 foot of gutter, we do have a minimum charge depending on where it's at. It could be $300 to $500 as a minimum charge to fix something. But we do repairs, small repairs. We do full replacements. Gutter guards. Gutters are pretty easy. If you got a gutter that's leaking, like a miter that's leaking somewhere, I'm not going to charge you to fix that. caulk a miter up, you know.
But that's a huge thing that's common, is that water is coming, not going away from the house.
Right.
And a lot of times that's what I see, that was the whole problem, it was just a gutter problem, if they had just
Right.
gotten it fixed.
Yeah.
When it, when it
Just
happens.
pulling up around the foundation.
Yeah,
And that has a lot to do too with the grading, the way
Yeah.
that the yard was
Grading,
graded.
right.
I mean that's if the yard's not graded right for the water to flow away from the house, you're gonna have those issues.
right.
If you don't have French drains, you're gonna have those issues. You know, not a lot of people have French drains, not a lot of people want them. You have them.
I do now.
And they're expensive. They're expensive to get. But you know, over time, they definitely pay for themselves. I think just foundation issues and erosion issues. But gutters are easy. If it's a leaking gutter, it's not a problem for us to fix it. If it's a gutter that's spilling over, typically it's full of leaves. We do clean gutters, very inexpensively clean gutters. We'll blow them out with a blower, clean our yard up, spray the house off, go around. I mean, it takes hours, a couple hours to do. Gutter guards, so and they're pretty inexpensive. We're very competitive, I would say, with gutter pricing. Don't quote me on it because it depends on the application, but we're usually between $750 and $850 a foot, which is crazy cheap. Most contractors are trying to charge between $10 and $11 a foot. So we have a guy that's been doing our gutters since I've been here. We've got him locked into the price, and he's been locked into the price, so we get it fairly cheap, and we don't try to get rich with gutters. So.
And I know that that's your specialty, roofing and gutters, but tell them other things that you guys handle.
Paint, interior and exterior. I can paint your whole house at a very competitive price. I've been using the same painter since I've been doing this. I've been doing this for, I'm probably going on 10 years now. His name's Keith. He has done stuff for you. He actually painted Christy's house for her, some stuff on the inside. So paint's very good. Siding, I got a guy that does siding. His name's Barry. So he does siding, fascia, and soffit repair. So if you got rotten soffit, rotten fascia, or siding that needs to be replaced, window trim, whether it's PVC or wood or hardy board, any repairs like that, small repairs, I have people that can do that. I don't do anything with electricity. I don't do anything with plumbing. I don't do anything with hot water heaters. Floors I can do. I have a very good floor guy. We don't do those.
You got a guy though. Look, Ben's
Yeah.
got a guy for everything.
I got a guy for everything, but we don't. I was telling her earlier.
Yeah, because I asked him. That was one of the first things I asked him. I was like, "Hey, I need some windows and doors." He's like, "Yeah, I'm out."
We can't get them to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
Just whether they're busy or whatever it is. So I'm not going to tell you that I can do something if I can't do it and confidently do it and know that I'm not going to ruin a relationship. Me making a couple $100 is not worth ruining a relationship that I can have for years. It just doesn't offset. So roofing and gutters is like clockwork. Like I can do it with my eyes closed. I can send guys to do it with their eyes closed. Soffit, fascia, window trim, and siding the exact same way, and paint is also the exact same way. So my painter, he takes a little bit longer to get me estimates sometimes. He's very, very, very busy all the time.
All painters are busy right now.
All the time. And I'll say this too, just speaking candidly, painters are usually the contractor that show up to your house that you don't want to let in. My guy has presentable painters. They don't look like they've been doing drugs for 20 years. It's just, and that's a big deal.
And they're very nice.
To me, and they're very nice.
Very nice.
And they're well spoken. They're professional.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find contractors out there that have subs that work for them that look and sound and speak professionally. Same thing with our roofers and show up. Our roofers, they're all foreign. They're all Guatemalan, but I've been dealing with the same roofers since I've been with this company for going on 8 years that I've been dealing with today that I dealt with when I first got there. We know them on a first name basis. They come to our Christmas parties. They're very professional. They don't speak to the homeowners. We send
That's a big deal.
yeah, well, we send a foreman, or we send a supervisor, is what we call it, to our jobs that are from our jobs from the time they start to the time they end, to kind of communicate back and forth between what's going on with the roof to the homeowner. They pick up, we run a magnet around yards for any nails. We do a very, very good cleanup. If it's dark and we don't clean up good enough, we're coming back the day after. We really try to hold ourselves to a higher standard than these other roofing companies because there's a lot of roofing companies out there that we're competing with, and I don't even want to be a question whether or not you're going to hire me versus the other guy. My price might be a little bit higher, but you're paying for what you get, and I'm going to give you a better service, better warranty, and a better product. So that's kind of what we stand behind. That's who we are. I like saying that. I'm proud to work for JACO Contracting. It's a good name.
And you guys have been here.
We've
Like,
been
that's
here,
the thing.
yeah.
Even in the last 10 years, there are so many people that have come and gone, and you guys
We're
have been
still
here.
Yep, and we're not going anywhere. I mean, we're knock on wood again. I don't see us. I will work here for the remainder of my work life. I will retire here for sure. We are looking at opening an office in Fayetteville, Noonan area. That's being talked about pretty heavy right now, and then we are also looking at opening one up north again. You know, we had a Roswell office years back, which
Yeah.
unfortunately hired the wrong person to run the office, and it never really went anywhere. So
Push a little further north.
we're trying to come on up. You know.
Push a little further.
We've got guys everywhere. If it's in the state of Georgia, don't ask me, will you drive here? If it's a Georgia address, I'll go. If I don't go, somebody else will go. We got guys in Savannah. We've got guys North Atlanta. We've got guys in Atlanta. I've got a guy in Ringgold. And we got people everywhere. So
There's a lot of growth up there in Beaufort,
Yeah.
Cushton, all
Yeah.
that.
It's
Y'all
huge.
should get up there. I mean, there's a lot of growth.
So,
And then Peachtree, you said Peachtree Corners too is where your
Yep.
office is. Yeah, there's a lot.
Johns Creek, Peachtree Corner, that's
And
huge.
you know what? There's a lot of Atlas up there too. There's a ton of Atlas
Yeah,
up there.
I'm sure.
And
Well,
it's-
and because
it's hard.
that's when the boom started right there. So that 2006, 7 is when all of that started growing. So
Kennesaw, what's right above Kennesaw? Ackworth.
Canton, all of
And
that.
That's where it originated. That's where the Atlas originated.
Really?
That's
I
good to
think
know.
My bestie has, she's Powder Springs.
Yeah.
West Cobb,
There's a
yeah.
lot there too.
Well, we're going to have your information. We're going to definitely, for those of you online, because I'm about to cut off, we'll have all that information. I will send it out to you. And we will have Ben's contact. So if you want it, we're going to have it in the offices. So give him a call, because I can tell you right now, I'm super pumped to find out there he goes to Buford. He's coming to fix my fascia.
I'm
Because
gonna do a quick giveaway to you. I have a $50 or a $50 gift card. Do you want these people that are in the office?
sorry guys, you don't count. It's just people here. See you soon.